everyone, this is Cyrus,
Amanda,
and Cory,
and welcome to the Gowns and Crowns podcast. Today we're very excited to have Cory King of the Cory King Makeup Studio back with us. Our topic today is going to be
plastic surgery and pageantry.
and kind of ways to navigate if having some type of enhancement is right for you. Before we get started and the things that we think some girls may be interested in hearing that they can do to be better in a pageant, Cory, establish a little bit about who you are. You're more than a makeup artist.
Yes, I have for 2.5, almost 3 decades now. Don't come for me. I have procedure scheduled. And working in luxury spa and plastic surgery sector. And I have had the wonderful opportunity to work with some phenomenal surgeons where I've been able to be part of programs because I'm also a licensed massage therapist as well. So I would work with pre and post-operative care for massage therapy to help you get your results quicker. So it's been really phenomenal. We've even integrated that into hospital systems. So I've done a lot on the medical side.
We're very lucky to have Cory on our Gowns and Crowns staff. Like I said, not as just a makeup artist, but he has, he has all of this experience in this industry. Amanda and I do get asked a lot, it's not really about, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have cosmetic surgery? Is it the right thing for you?
Absolutely.
I have no problem if somebody wants to have some type of cosmetic procedure, but one, you want to find the right people to do it for you, and I feel like Cory has been actually able to coach some of our clients in the right directions to right doctors and right procedures in a safe and healthy way to help make their experience better. But I applaud anybody who wants to look or to be better. I'll just throw it out there. Growing up, I always hated my nose. So when I was in my late 30s, I had a nose job. And that was such a great experience for me because when I would see pictures of myself, all I would see was how big my nose was. So I had a rhinoplasty, and it did everything for my self-confidence. It made me feel better about myself. I felt like it made me more photogenic in pictures, and I wasn't constantly criticizing myself. So I understand where young women are coming from when there's something they want to correct.
Right.
So,
you've done everything you can to fix that, but there's just nothing else that you can do. You've exhausted every effort to do it.
Well, girls can have, let's face it, girls can have an awkward nose, and they can use makeup to camouflage that.
Absolutely.
Men don't traditionally in our country wear makeup, so there really wasn't a way to to correct that. And I grew up with the when people are like, oh, does that nose come off when you take your glasses off? I'm like so but anyway, but not to tell my story, but I want people to know that having had a procedure, I understand.
Correct, and you've gone through it.
I've gone through it.
Understand.
And when I went through, somebody recommended me to a wonderful surgeon. He was great and followed through with the whole thing. And I have never, ever regretted that decision. But what we want to talk about today are some of the most, I think, common procedures that young women have going into pageantry. And Cory, I'm going to keep relying on you today. What do you think is the most common procedure that girls have?
The most, and not necessarily girls, this is for guys or girls, which has been for years, the number one procedure is liposuction. And Amanda brought up a really great point. Sometimes genetically, certain people can work out, have a perfect diet, have a personal trainer, and there are just certain areas and pockets. Liposuction is designed to help your overall silhouette and aesthetic. So this way you can achieve your ultimate goals. It's not for, I need to lose 30 pounds. That is not liposuction.
Right.
If we're talking about maybe 5 pounds or sculpting or certain areas that are just genetically there.
Right.
We'll get into some other procedures later, but we also on the list is like blepharoplasties for your eyes. Some people have bags under their eyes. It's just genetic. That's adipose tissue. It's not going to go away. No matter how thin certain people get genetically, they're always going to have that. Right. So no matter what cream or anything that's out there, surgery is really the only option to alleviate that.
And so if it bothers them to the point that they want to reach out and have
and here's, something done. If we're talking about pageantry, we have, like you said, from the womb to the tomb. So this does relate into the Mrs. pageants and the Miss Senior pageants and things, who want to look more refreshed. But my personal philosophy is if it bothers you every single day in the mirror, do your due diligence. I always recommend to schedule 2 appointments with different plastic surgeons. Do not go look for a free consult because no one has time for that, because that's just
not what people do. That's not the industry.
A really great surgeon's time's important, and he's going to need to charge you to pay because you just don't.
Priceless.
Yes, and like you see all these things on TikTok now advertising all these discount plastic surgery. I've said it on many platforms, not the way to go. Do your research, and just like with finding a pageant coach, your plastic surgeon, you need to feel at ease. You need to feel confident. You need to make sure you make that really great connection.
Right.
So I always, for the many doctors and practices that I was fortunate enough to work with, I knew that. They knew that was part of my process of screening. And I told every single person, and they always came to book with us because they respected that too. Because we're passionate, want to give you the right result that's best for you and make you the best you possible, not turn you into somebody else.
I think the number one thing that I do agree with you. I think everybody's on, especially right now in our country, it seems like everybody's on a weight loss journey. And not everybody's genetically capable of having the body that they want. So like you said, through liposuction, through Cabela, those types of things, they're able to alleviate things that working out and eating right won't do.
They've done everything they can.
I think for me in the pageant industry over the last 30 years, I think the number one I see is the number of girls who want their breast done or having breast
It's a lot of
augmentation.
pageants with swimsuits.
You know, back in the day, nobody really cared about having padding and all their swimsuits
Right.
or their gowns and stuff.
Right.
You know, now girls never complained about it. It was just a thing. And then probably about 15 or 20 years ago, it's like girls were like, I'm done with the padding and the wire bras and this, that, and the other. I'm just going to bite the bullet
And do it.
and have my breast redone or my breast enhanced. What I would like for Cory to kind of talk about is how do you get the right size? Because literally because I have girls who come in, and when they're in a swimsuit, they're going to show me, I can see in their swimsuit what they've had done. I've had girls that was either too big or too small.
Correct.
How do you find the right
This is a very loaded, dynamite, complex question. So again, back to you. You need to have a good mental clarity on this because there's lots of subcategories to that. You need to have a surgeon what is your aesthetic? They need to know your breast. Sometimes you'll have a tubular breast that's longer, so you're going to need to have a lift. Sometimes you can just go with an implant. It's really about your genetics and what your end goal result is. And by going and doing your due diligence again and researching your plastic surgeon, you can make sure that they are qualified. They have before and after pictures that they can show you in office. Not everything is online to see, and that way you can really pick. But the biggest part about this, if you're thinking about having a breast augmentation and you're competing in a pageant, you need to really do that preferably a year prior, because after and with so many years of experience working with this, your body, it's controlled damage, it's in sterile, but it's attack on your body. So for 6 months, you're really going to have a lot of swelling up and down, your mobility. Are you going over the muscle? Are you going under the muscle, which most people do now? Are you using saline? Are you using silicone? There's so many factors, but do not go out and get a breast augmentation. Some girls have done it, but like 3 months before your pageant. They're going to sit very high. It takes about 6 months
They're all
and
up under
different
their
treatments
chin.
for them they create a pocket in there for it to actually settle, so then they'll look optimum.
You know, but as we continue this particular podcast, and we're going to talk about some other procedures, I do want to highlight what Cory said. I don't think that's just for breast augmentation. Any procedure that you're going to have done, plan it out so that you're not doing it at the 9th hour right before your competition.
And for instance, rhinoplasty, as you know, who you've gone through, and he did a phenomenal job, and you've never even had to have a revision. It looks absolutely insider information, but it looks incredible.
But it
with
took
the
a year. It took a year.
Exactly. Rhinoplasty takes a year. So if you have a nose that you really have issues with and you can't stand, for lack of better, just being blunt, you might see a big enough result that you don't care, but to have the best results, that should be a year.
Yeah,
because you can just have swelling.
When it comes to the rhinoplasty, you know, I went through the whole procedure, and I would go, after the initial healing, I would go for a couple of months and my nose would look great, and then I would wake up one day and my whole face would be swollen.
Right.
And I would call the surgeon and he's like, no, Cyrus, that's just not, he said, that's just your body healing and adjusting. So that was number one. I want us to check the boxes. Number one, if you're going to have some procedure done, make sure you do it in advance. The other thing I said too is when
And to add to that, I apologize. Check with your surgeon because there's a lot of different techniques. Things are constantly changing. There's new procedures coming out all the time. I'm not big to tell my clients to jump on a brand new procedure until it's been out for a while because safety's first, and also like jump into a cheap flight to a foreign country. Like, yes, there are great surgeons around, but you really need to be careful with those.
If it seems too good to be true,
sometime most of
the time.
The other thing that I wanted to make sure that I didn't misconstrue in the very beginning when I started talking about breast augmentation, because girls do come to me and they talk to me about it. I liked what Cory said. Mental clarity should have nothing to do with you being in a pageant. Right. Mental clarity should be, there's something I would like to improve about myself, and I'm going to have to do it through surgery. Right. A pageant is not the reason
that you should do it. And that's something that you've always said, Cory, that I love. Do it for yourself,
correct,
not for the pageant or for anyone else, because that's a very permanent thing.
No, and a pageant, I mean, it can help you in a pageant, but don't do it because you're in a pageant.
Right.
Or don't do it because your boyfriend wants you to have bigger breasts.
That is the worst.
Yeah.
Do not do it for a man. Do not do it for a girl. You need to do it for yourself. Because if you look in the mirror every single day, consecutively, and consistently something bothers you and it is preventing you, and it's something that is a healthy thing for you to do, then that's when you need to have this procedure. You don't need to see a movie star like, oh, they're super hot, I want to look like them. No, you need to be the best you. There's so many things out there now, like facial balancing. I very much support it. I need to get mine done because this face has crashed because I'm on a weight loss journey, but we're going to get it back. But they can really enhance your features. Like, I have a weaker jawline, and you can get filler in here, and you can enhance your lips, and there's so many wonderful procedures that if they're done correctly, you look natural. So it's really awesome.
Well, don't want to be you.
Well, you've touched on several things right there, Cory. Let's talk about those. So there's filler injections. You can have your lips made bigger. You can have the creases in your face taken out. Let's talk a little bit about that. No, Amanda, you haven't had anything other than Botox. Is that correct? Or you haven't had anything?
She's had no filler that I've ever known.
No, just Botox on my face.
Yeah.
And teeth whitening.
Yeah, teeth whitening is a big one. I think that is a good one. Yeah, she's lucky. She's like a genetic freak of nature, so it's like not unlike the rest of us.
But she has a good heart too. So
yeah, she does. But I think it's important. If you don't need it, not to do it just because
you feel like you have to, or because everybody else is.
Right. But that was going to lead me to another question about Amanda. So Amanda's had very little done. When you were at Miss USA, you had nothing done,
except for my teeth.
And when you were at Mrs. Galaxy, you had nothing done. But
I had a little bit of Botox at that point.
But you were competing against women who we could tell had a lot of cosmetic procedures to enhance or feel better about themselves. Did it ever bother you that you were competing against women that had lots done versus you had a little bit of Botox?
Definitely not.
See, I think
I felt comfortable with.
See, that's what I think is great. A lot of people, when I hear girls talk about it, they're critical of other people. It's like, oh, I can't believe she got a boob job, or I can't believe she got her lips done.
You don't know her backstory. You don't know the reason why she did that.
I think you should worry about you.
Yes.
And let other people do what's right.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even, you didn't even know I was going to ask you that question. I think it's great because I think if somebody did something to make themselves feel better and they're in this pageant and they feel great about themselves, that's where they should be on their journey.
Absolutely.
You didn't need that to feel better about yourself. So I think that's...
And if you are a pageant girl, and what he said earlier, which is despicable and you shouldn't say, you don't need to tear other people down. Yeah. And to attack somebody's physical appearance, that says so much about you, and you need to get into some therapy because that's wrong.
Yes.
And I said it.
So, Cory, let's tell... Okay, so...
It's the truth.
Would you say that filler, like in your face and lips and Botox, is probably the most common and easiest accessible
It is like
things?
the quickest fix. Like, there's so many things that bother people, or they wish they just had this. For me, and I'm doing this on camera because God knows there's hundreds of terrible pictures of me out there, but I don't like my side profile because I don't have a very distinct jawline. And if I go like this, which I just did on camera, God help me, like it all smashes. So there's things that you can do to enhance that, and I think that those are really fun, easy temporary options. Again, do the research because Overseas, they have permanent fillers, which I would stay away from those because
wow.
their licensing over there, it can get so messy. This is such a huge topic. We could probably talk about this all the time with everything that's out there. But there are a lot of good things that you can put in if you don't like that can be broken down too. So they can...
Where is the easiest, where would you say someone should start? Like they don't have access to us, but they want to look up a particular procedure. I mean, you can Google anything, but where's the safest place for people to...
The American Board of Plastic Surgery is a great place.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yes.
Yes.
My doctor was recommended. Mine was recommended. Yeah, mine was word of mouth. I didn't have to look it up.
I was just going to say word of mouth is a great way
He's
too.
double board certified because he's very much a brainiac in certain things. So Cyrus chose someone very phenomenal, actually. But any list of procedures or things that are approved by the American Board of Plastic Surgery, you want to make sure that your plastic surgeon is accredited through them. So they're following all the best guidelines and up to the standards and things like that. So, but with looking, you can look for procedures, but the bigger question to the one that you were asking, it's very specific. Someone who is happy with everything but have these huge 11s, like when they frown right there, Botox is like going to get that taken
Hockey
care
sticks,
of.
double hockey sticks.
Yeah.
You know, that'll help that easy. So it's really what the person is talking to you. But I would always say, do your own research online, look for some things, and then look and see places that are accredited and that you like their work, and ask to see pictures and just book a consultation.
Right.
Because you can book a consultation for things and not have to do it, and you know you'll
Read
know.
reviews too.
Oh, 100%.
You can Google some
are
reviews
phenomenal.
out there, and friends, like you were saying,
Oh
word
my
of
gosh,
mouth, asking.
word of mouth, plastic surgery is the best thing. And when getting back to what Cyrus was saying about size, there is this thing in the community which, with girlfriends, you'll see from working in this industry for decades. It's called boob creed. So they'll have their breast augmentation, they like it, and then their friend goes and gets one, and then it's a little bit bigger, and then the circle starts doing it. Now, when I worked at offices, we scanned and we did some psych stuff to make sure that that didn't happen. But you know, it's just with anything else.
Sure.
Well, I definitely think it should be something you do because you, like I said, you want
It's for
to
you.
do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got to do it. And you know, one thing that I don't think we have any pageants now that I have seen that says you can't compete if you've had cosmetic surgery of any type. You know?
Sure.
And like I said, you're going to still have a segment of the population that doesn't agree with it. We're not saying you have to agree with it.
We're not telling you to get it or not to get it.
We're just telling you how to
giving
do
some
What's right
options.
for you, and make sure you have a
and
good
about the
support
most common
system.
procedures that we see
Yes.
in the pageant industry.
Absolutely, because on the flip side too, and people know I also work with models, and as you guys do as well, you can ruin your career at a certain level of modeling if you do get breast augmentation.
Right.
Or if you do. And when you're in contract, certain of the models, you know, they're under contract, they cannot have A, B, C, D.
Right.
Because if you're wanting to do high fashion, and I know it's ever always evolving, but you don't want to have like
not a
breast
thing.
Girls have lost major contracts because they went
altered,
rogue.
That's not the
because
look
they
they're
altered
going
their
for.
body.
They went rogue.
Well, I know
not the
there's a couple of
aesthetic.
actresses that had their nose done, and it changed the way they looked so dramatically
Yes.
that they were
It
dropped.
altered their career.
Yeah, it altered. I don't want to say they were dropped from roles, but it did alter their career because people wanted them to look the way they.
They
Did.
You cannot have a staple feature and take that away if you already have an audience and expect everyone's going to follow. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know what, maybe they're happy with it. They're like, I don't care if I'm not doing that anymore, because when they look in the mirror, they're happy, and then that should be applauded. However, but yes, if you do certain things, it can actually hinder.
The other thing
aesthetic.
I think that we should touch on too, we talked about when we were talking about our social media and another podcast, we were talking about age appropriate. People have to understand your body has to be fully developed. Every teenager
Yes.
has something that they don't like about themselves.
Yes.
But I just don't agree with teenagers getting lip filler or any of the Botox or anything.
Enjoy
Even though-
that youth.
Well,
Even
it's
though a parent-
illegal until they're over 18.
Well, can't in some procedures can't parents sign for
They
that?
Yeah.
can, and now there are exceptions to every rule, because like we were saying, and again, working with some of my doctors in the past, they did restorative. So if people had cleft palates or
Or
if
deviated
deviated septum,
Uh-huh.
that's good, which a lot of people use. I needed to get a deviated septum to get their nose popped, because at the same time you can do a little structural stuff, so that's a little nice trick to use as well.
What do you think about, so we talked about, what's right for you and breast augmentation. We've talked about weight loss. What about, would you consider cosmetic the new trends where people can lose weight through like Ozempic or Mounjaro or things like that? How do you feel about things like that?
Peptides are huge right now. Huge. Sign me up for all of them. Like, do the research and things. It's so amazing because the way that the amino acids is to change to go into your body to actually help you reproduce things like when you were younger is groundbreaking technology. So
And it's safe.
as of now, it is. I mean, of course, long term, who knows and sees. But
Right.
yeah, that's a really great alternative, and it really does help a lot of people.
There again, do it for yourself. And if you've tried everything out there and you just can't get those last stubborn 5 pounds off,
It really can help.
give it a
Well,
shot,
a lot of times
literally.
too, as you age, your body loses certain things. But again, it's do your research. Go to people who trust. I know,
Reputable.
but probably if we'd have done this podcast a year ago, we would have never talked about that. But now I think it's very top of mind. I do think it's like anything else. I see some celebrities. I look to the celebrities because they're the ones that you're going to see who are at the forefront of it because they can afford it, for number one. But I think they either look great or they look terrible. It's like they're on one end of the spectrum of other, I think also when you're talking about doing these procedures, you need to have people around you that you trust. One, that aren't critical of you doing it.
But they're going
They're
to
just
tell you the
support you.
truth,
But
and they're
they're
going to
also
support you.
going to tell you the truth. You've lost too much weight. You might want to consider a smaller breast size.
Yes.
When you go in and you tell them, I want this or I want that. And they're like,
Yes, a good doctor or provider or injector will tell you no. They will not. So many people are scared to have things done because they have seen people that have floated to 4 or 5 different doctors.
Yeah.
Right.
And try to do and just say, oh, I need more filler, or I've never had it. And we would have people come in, they're like, I'm all natural, and I'm like, not to be disrespectful, but this is deplorable. I can name 5 procedures on your face right now that I've already seen that you've had. You have to get this handled. So yeah, it can go like some of those beautiful ladies that you've seen, like that were gorgeous in their youth, but then they just tried to. It's about aging gracefully, doing what's best for you,
Right.
having harmony and balance to your mind, your body, your life. Not trying to be like, oh, I'm about to be 46. I'm definitely not trying to look 21 ever.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm doing this whole natural journey now too. So
I just want to be the best.
We'll see how long that lasts.
I just want to be the best for this age that I can. I just wanted to make a point. You have to have a support group. I'm lucky. I don't mind admitting on camera. I've had Botox and I've had filler, but I've gone to two incredible women.
Phenomenal.
Kelly at 2020 Vision Center and Beth at the Essential Face. But both of those women over time, as we've figured out where I want to be at this stage of my life, they've both told me, sometimes I'm like, can we do this, that, or the other? And they flat out say, no, I don't do that on men. We want to keep you still, looking like
Correct.
you.
Because there's that you can overturn and look a little more.
But I think, but I'm lucky because I have these great women in my life who help me with that. But I think everybody needs to search out and find the people. You don't want somebody just to give you lip filler until your lips blow up. You want somebody to say, this is what's going to look best for you.
For you.
Yeah, you may want them bigger. You may want this. You may want that. But this is what I think is best for you. And that's what happens when you pay a professional.
It's true.
They're going to tell you. All right, guys. I think Cory was correct. I think we could have talked about this all day long, and
So much fun.
I think
Go
it's
on
very
and on.
interesting. I'm all for any kind of procedure that somebody wants to make them feel better about themselves because I've gone that.
Sure. And if it's going to help you live your best life.
And it could be something as simple as a spray tan, which I should have gotten because I have a farmer's tan, or it can be all the way up to surgery.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we need to do a second episode on this
I
down the
think
road.
so.
We'll see
I
how
feel
well
that.
this one is.
Yeah, so write any
Yeah.
questions that you guys want to
down in
hear
the comments, the
below,
drop
write
down.
them, send it, and we
absolutely.
can help you a little bit with that.
All right,
Yes.
this is Cyrus.
Amanda.
And they had me back again, Cory.
Well, Cory, we're very happy to have you.
Yes,
here.
very appreciative.
And what do we always
of
say,
you.
Amanda?
It's a world of beauty and a universe of possibilities.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time.